The Desert Hills Thunder and Snow Canyon Warriors go head-to-head in a girls' soccer semifinal matchup tonight. The brackets are out for football and volleyball, plus the Utah Mammoth make it 3 in a row. All of that coming up in this episode of the Southern Utah Sports Report. Welcome back on in, everybody, to the Southern Utah Sports Report. My name is Caden Formaster, host of the show. Appreciate you joining us here on the podcast today to talk sports here in Southern Utah. It's Monday, which means we've got a lot of stuff to cover and get to, so let's dive right on into it. First things first, let's talk about the Desert Hills Thunder and Snow Canyon Warriors. Girls soccer going head-to-head tonight in a semifinal matchup. This winner of this game will then advance on into the championship game coming up. So this is a big game. This is a big one tonight for the semifinal, and it's going to be hosted right here in Southern Utah at Utah Tech University. If you can't make it out to the game tonight at Greater Zion Stadium, this game is going to be streamed over on KSLSports.com. We'll have a link to it over on the fansportsnetwork.com as well. Myself and Devin Dixon are going to be on the call for that game, so we'll be there in person bringing you the action. And I think we're also going to try to get that on the radio for you as well if you need to tune in there on 99.5 FM or 95.3 here in St. George. So check that out tonight. Desert Hills Thunder, Snow Canyon Warriors. These two teams have faced off already twice now. This is their third time going head-to-head. Each one of them has a win. So this is, in some ways, a tiebreaker of this head-to-head matchup. So whoever wins tonight, of course, will move on to the championship game. But both of these teams have had fantastic seasons. Desert Hills, of course, getting the big upset win over Green Canyon in the matchup before this. But this is going to be big. This is going to be a fun one. So come on out tonight. If you can make it out to Greater Zion Stadium, I think that's preferred. I'd almost rather you guys come out to the game than to tune into our broadcast. I really would. I think it's better to have people in the seats. So come on out for that game. It is going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be going on tonight again at Greater Zion Stadium, and you can tune into it here on the Fan Sports Network. All right. With that said, we do have a lot of other playoffs to cover because we have football that has released their bracket. We have volleyball that has released their bracket. So we're going to dive on into that and cover those brackets for you. So let's take a look here at first up. We are looking at the football bracket. That's what we're seeing here right now. For those of you that are following along, we are looking at the football bracket at this point. With football, if you look at this top corner of the bracket, there's no Region 9 teams on one side of this bracket entirely. If we go to the other side, we do have a few teams here. So Hurricanes getting the bye. They are the 4th-seeded team. They're getting a bye. They'll face the winner of Highland and Dixie. So there is a chance we could have a Southern Utah v. Southern Utah matchup in the second round. But Dixie's just got to go and beat Highland. So that's one of the big matchups there. We also have Snow Canyon, a 3-seed, getting a bye here, and they'll face the winner of Desert Hills and Green Canyon. So again, a possibility of Southern Utah versus Southern Utah if Desert Hills can get the win over Green Canyon. So we'll see if Desert Hills can get that win up in Cache Valley, and if they do, again, Snow Canyon and Desert Hills going head-to-head. Snow Canyon got the best of that matchup the first time around. If those two teams were to meet up again, just keep that in mind that Snow Canyon has already won that matchup once. Pineview has a bye as well, so they'll be playing at home on Halloween night, and they'll be facing the winner of Skyline and Tooele. And that is one point of note here, is that all of these games are scheduled for Halloween. So keep that in mind, okay? I know that Halloween's already a busy enough night. If you've got kids that you're going to go take out trick-or-treating or whatever, just know that there's going to be football going on ahead of that. Now, all of the games at this point are scheduled for 4 o'clock p.m. It doesn't mean that they're going to stay at 4 o'clock p.m., but if they do, then, I don't know, the average football game lasts about a little over 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so. So it would be possible then that these games could be done and wrapped up by about 6:30 to 7, which would mean you can still go to the games and go take kids out trick-or-treating. You're just going to have to do it once it's already dark outside. I know a lot of families don't love that idea and that concept, but if you're going to try to catch both, that is a possibility. So keep that in mind. Finally, Crimson Cliffs. We haven't got to them yet. They are the number 2 seed. So the highest ranked in all of Region 9. They are the region champions. They are going to be facing off against the winner of Timpanogos and Bear River. Now, here's the thing. this week, it's pretty quiet. Not a lot going on this week, but next week, once we get into the second round, then we will finally start to see a few more of these Region 9 teams playing. It's only Desert Hills and Dixie playing in this first week, so just keep that in mind as we are looking ahead to what's going on with, of course, region play in the playoffs. We're going to try to cover as many Southern Utah teams as we possibly can, but it is tough at times when we have these games going head to head here with teams that are from out of our Southern Utah area. So for example, Desert Hills going up north to Cache Valley, Dixie going up north to Salt Lake. Sometimes it's hard for us to cover those. I think we're going to try, actually. I think the plan is for us to try and get a game in there somewhere. And I think the plan is to, at this point, go to Highland and cover that Highland-Dixie game. I think we're going to try to stream that one. So for Dixie fans, we will try to be bringing you that game there. It's going to be more difficult in the next week because we only have so many broadcast crews. There's 4 home games. We only have the broadcast crews to cover 2 of those 4 games, so we're just going to have to try to pick and choose. And I know we can't please everybody there, but we'll of course do our best to try to cover the best games possible. That's always how we try to do it, is just cover the best games that we possibly can. It's not always going to be perfect. Okay, it is what it is. We'll do what we can to cover that. So it'll be fun though. It'll be fun. Playoff football is awesome. Playoff anything is awesome. We're super excited to get into the playoffs here. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right, let's get back on into the bracket here. This bracket now that we're going to be showing you here in just a moment, we're going to be getting into the bracket for for volleyball. Volleyball bracket coming up here in just a little bit. Let me just get it pulled up and ready to go. Here we go. Volleyball bracket. We're taking a look now at the way that it's all set up. First up, Orem gets the number 1 seed. And so they'll be getting buys. Cedar's getting a bye. Here's the great thing for Cedar. They could be facing off against Hurricane. And that game would be coming up on the 27th, which is in a week from today. So we will be seeing some of those matchups coming up quick, though. The 23rd, which is Thursday, is going to be the first round of the playoffs. So Hurricane is hosting that first round matchup against Tooele. It's a pretty good chance that Hurricane gets the win here. Tooele is the last ranked team in the playoffs. There's only 24 teams total, and Tooele is team 24. Hurricane is coming in with the 9th ranked spot. And if they win this game, they will face off against Cedar in Cedar, which would be a really fun Region 9 head-to-head matchup. That would be really awesome for them. And then whoever wins that game would go on to face the winner of this second round matchup, which would be potentially Orem. Probably Orem. They're the number 1 team for a reason. They're really, really good at volleyball. What can I say? All right. As we move down here, we've got a few other teams: Mountain View, Mountain Crest, Highland, Skyview, Bear River. We're going to get through all of these, but Crimson Cliffs, they get a bye as well. They are the 5th ranked team. They'll face the winner of Skyview and Bear River. Skyview is the 12th ranked, Bear River 21st ranked. So Crimson Cliffs could potentially have a pretty good run at making it to at least the semifinal matchup, which would be, at this point, there's a good possibility it's Orem, unless Cedar or Hurricane come through and they can maybe try to get an upset win. So that'll be an interesting side of the bracket for sure over there. Featuring 3 Southern Utah teams, 3 Region 9 teams, Crimson Cliffs, Hurricane, and Cedar. That's how the top half of the bracket is shaping up. In the bottom half, you have Desert Hills as the 2 seed. So they already automatically move on as they have the bye. They'll face the winner of Park City and Timpanogos. Dixie is the 10th ranked team. They'll be hosting Desert Peak. They will go on to face Ridgeline if they win in the first round. And then finally, Snow Canyon hosting Stansbury. If they win, they'll face Green Canyon. And then Pineview as the 11th seed over Jordan. If they win, they'll face Provo. I know that's a lot. Okay, you can go on over to uhsaa.org. And if you go to activities, look for volleyball. And then from there, you can navigate to where the bracket is held. So we'll also try to post these brackets. If you're watching this on our YouTube page or listening to this on your podcast platform, if you go to thefansportsnetwork.com, go to shows, look for Southern Utah Sports Report and shows, and then just look for today's date, October 20th. And if you find October 20th, we're going to have these linked inside of today's show notes. So make sure to go check that out over on thefansportsnetwork.com so you can see how the brackets are. And you can always revert back to that as the playoffs are going on. So keep that in mind. One thing to point out as well, first round sites are going to be home sites for volleyball. So all the games that I mentioned before, and that being Hurricane Tooele. This is going to be, as I scroll down here, Dixie, Desert Peak, and then Snow Canyon, Stansbury, Pineview, South Jordan. All of those games are going to be played at home sites, which are also all at the Southern Utah Schools sites, okay? No Southern Utah school is going on the road in the first round, which is great. If a team got a bye, so I'm looking at Desert Hills, Crimson Cliffs, and Cedar, if those teams got a bye, they go straight to Utah Valley University, okay? So the way that this works is in the very first day at UVU, if you win, you play 2 games. So the second and quarterfinals are all played on October 27th on Monday next week. And then after that, the semifinals are going to be played in the morning at UVU, and then the final is in the afternoon. The finals are going to be played in the evening, I should say, at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening. So Monday, Tuesday, you're packing in 4 games if you were to make it to the state championship game, which is a lot. So just keeping that in mind, we'll of course, be trying to cover what we can through the fan, but it's going to move quick. It's going to move really fast. So just keep checking back in the brackets. KSLSports.com. They're going to be hosting all of this. We'll have links to it on our website. But again, just if you're going to try to follow some volleyball moves quick. Okay. There's going to be multiple games a day. So just, again, keep that in mind. All right. As Region 9 athletics are kind of wrapping up here in the playoffs, we kind of went over all the playoff stuff. Just as a final reminder with that, Region 9 soccer tonight, 7:30. We're going to be broadcasting it through our friends at KSLSports.com with a link to it over on thefansportsnetwork.com. All right, man. Whew. Region 9, a lot to cover there. So much to get to, but we move on. There's more Southern Utah athletics to get to, with that being Utah Tech athletics. There were a lot of things to get to here for Utah Tech. So first off, Utah Tech Trailblazers soccer. We did have some soccer going on where the women's soccer team, they had a shutout over Abilene Christian on Sunday. They got a 2-0 win. 2 goals came from 2 different freshmen. You had Jocelyn Wright getting a goal, and then Abby Olson with the assist from Latae Brost. So that's a really, really good win for them. And they've been pretty solid all season. Up to this point, women's soccer has looked really good, really competitive at the very least. 7 wins to 5 losses, 4 ties, but a lot of that through their non-conference schedule, which, they tied against BYU in an exhibition. They tied against UNLV. They lost to Boise State. They lost to Utah. So they were playing against some really good competition through the preseason. It's definitely playing up as opposed to playing down. So with that said, though, here in the WAC play, it's been a roller coaster. They've beat Southern Utah. They tied to Abilene Christian, lost to Tarleton State, tied to Utah Valley, lost to Cal Baptist, and then 2 wins against 2 Texas teams, Tarleton State and Abilene Christian. Their next game is coming up on Thursday against Cal Baptist, and there's only 3 games left this season for soccer. So Cal Baptist, they're going to be at UVU on Monday, which, hey, if you're going up for some volleyball to Utah Valley, just head across the street to the soccer pitch and go watch some Utah Tech and Utah Valley soccer going on. So you've got that as well. But they get a win this weekend, which is huge. The men were not as lucky as the women in soccer. Men's soccer lost to San Diego State. It was a 1-2 score. So San Diego State coming up with the win there with just 1 more goal. That's all they needed, was just 1 extra. It was a 2-1 game there. And so men's soccer falls. Tanner Dutra was the lone goal scorer for Utah Tech. So that's how Utah Tech is shaping up. Now, don't forget, when it comes to Utah Tech athletics, and we're going to talk SUU in just a little bit, this is homecoming week for Utah Tech Trailblazers. So there is a lot of stuff to cover here in Trailblazer athletics just because it is homecoming week. So keep that in mind. There is going to be a lot happening around the campus, and it should be fun. I'm really excited to see all this homecoming stuff. Plus, Utah Tech and SUU going head-to-head in their homecoming matchup this Saturday. So that'll be a lot of fun. In volleyball, on Saturday, the Trailblazers got their first loss that they've seen since September 19th, and it was a loss against UT Arlington. They lost in 4 sets, so it was 3-1. And kind of a surprising loss, and I think the reason I would say it's surprising really just comes down to the fact that we haven't seen this team lose a lot. Trailblazer volleyball has been really good. Really, really good, really fantastic. And so to see them lose is a little bit of a shocker. But for UT Arlington, if you're talking about their women's volleyball team, they've been pretty decent as well. So this is kind of a surprise win for sure. Like they're 10-8 overall. And in WAC play, they've lost a lot. I mean, this was a surprise win for them. They've beat SUU, but that was it. Lost to Tarleton State, Abilene Christian, Utah Valley, Cal Baptist. So the win over the top team, Utah Tech Trailblazers, was a bit of a surprise. Now, these kind of games happen. Sometimes it just happens that you lose. And you might be a good team losing to a bad team. Okay, it happens. For the Trailblazers, they just have to get back on track and, take this loss, learn from it, and they'll be back at it again coming up here shortly. They do have Abilene Christian at home on Thursday. Again, part of all of this homecoming week stuff. So just keep that in mind. All right. With that said, we move on to SUU, Southern Utah University Athletics. To start things off, the T-Birds had a big football game this last weekend on Saturday. They played against Abilene Christian, who was ranked number 13 in the country in FCS. Well, SUU got their second win of the season over this ranked team, 31-24. Credit goes to the defense here. They had 4 takeaways, 3 interceptions, fumble recovery, and a lot of that leading back to scoring as well. So you have Bronson Barron back in the lineup at QB, and he looked pretty good. He did throw 1 pick, but he did throw for a touchdown as well. So overall, this SUU team looked really good, and that's a good win to have as you go into a rivalry week and try to get the upset win. And I don't know if I'd call it an upset win, but at least a road win on Utah Tech's turf during homecoming week. That's what they're looking to do. Joshua Dye, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran on a breakaway one from 67 yards, which was huge. So congrats to SU on that win. Much needed win for sure. So that's how SEU is shaping up right now in football. We talked about soccer. Soccer and volleyball have struggled this year for sure. It's been a little bit more of a rough year for them. They did get a tie on Sunday against Tarleton State in soccer, so they've got that for sure for now. And then volleyball has been, again, just a little more rough on the volleyball side of things. So hopefully they can try to get a couple more wins here. Up till now, they've only got 2 wins as they lost to UVU in 3 sets. So the best they've done so far is taking Abilene Christian to 5 sets. They did that back on October 9th. They will be facing them again in Cedar. So a good chance for a win coming up on Saturday, October 25th. All right, that is SUU. Let's go up north to Salt Lake City to our friends, the Utah Mammoth. They take down the Bruins in a 3-2 win. Now, here's the thing about the Mammoth. They have won 3 straight games. All 3 of them have been home games. And all of these wins have come since they have unveiled their new mascot. We talked about the mascot here on the podcast. Since they have unveiled Tusky, they've gone undefeated. Right now, they're also tied for second in the Central Division in the West. So that's huge too. They are currently sitting at 8 points. The team above them would be the Colorado Avalanche. There are a few other teams tied up with them as well, but this has been a really good swing for them. Season's still early, so a lot can change. I wouldn't read into any of that too much, but it's good to see Utah Mammoth out there getting a win. And, it was tied 2-2 late. Dylan Gunther with a slap shot score to get them the lead, and then ultimately that would be the game-winning goal in the 3rd period. So that's huge. Tomorrow they face the Avalanche. So a win against the Avalanche tomorrow. It's a home game as well, taking on Colorado. So if they win this game against Colorado tomorrow, as of right now, the way the standings are set up, if they outright win it, Colorado's still the number 1 team, but it cuts their lead in about half from where they're at right now. So it would be huge. It would put the Mammoth up to 10 points with the Avalanche at 11. And so that would put them second, still in second in the Central Division, but second with only 1 point behind the Avalanche, which would be huge. So the Vegas Golden Knights also were in action this weekend. They got a big win over Calgary, a 6-1 victory over the Flames. They've beat them twice in a row now, and it looks like the Golden Knights are going to be a threat for sure. They're top of the Pacific Division as well. So Golden Knights, their next game coming up is going to be today. They're at home against the Hurricanes. So we'll be seeing some Golden Knights in action tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. And then finally, we wrap things up with the Raiders. and I don't even know why we talk about them at this point. Oh, it was a struggle. It was such a struggle this weekend. Yesterday with the shutout loss to Kansas City, 31-0. Oh, it's tough to be a Raiders fan. I'm sorry for you Raiders fans out there, but man, it's rough. Kansas City again, 31-0 against the Raiders. The biggest struggle that they've seen so far right now has been turnovers. They didn't really have an issue with turnovers in this game, but really it was just they couldn't move the ball. Kenny Pickett came in at quarterback for a little bit as well. They didn't even pass or rush for over 100 yards. In fact, I don't even know if they got 100 yards combined in this game. It's close. It's close, but it's tough. It's tough. This was a really bad game. Really bad game for the Raiders. They do go into a bye week, so hopefully they can get some things back on track here in a bye week, but man, nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. I don't know what you do. I don't know how you bounce back from a loss like this. For Kansas City, this was a big win because they needed it. But for the Raiders, this was anything but what you needed right now. So we'll see. We'll see what they do if they try to make some changes. If they try to go with Kenny Pickett a little bit more often. They did bring him in kind of some garbage time down the stretch, but ultimately, yeah, they've got to do something different. 70 total yards passing, 25 rushing total. So, yeah, it was 95 total yards. That's so not good. It's so bad. So, Raiders, man, we'll figure it out. You know, you guys will get there. You'll figure it out. I'm sure of it. So, that's just how it goes some days. It's how it goes sometimes. So, all right, that will wrap it up for us here with the Southern Utah Sports Report. Appreciate you joining me on the show today. It's always fun to do these episodes. I think we're going to be doing them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I feel like every day there's not always a ton to cover. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays is when these shows are going to come out. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode wherever it is that you find your podcasts. You can also just subscribe to our YouTube page if you haven't already. We're always broadcasting local sports there anyway. Plus, I know The Drive does their show live every single morning right here in the Findlay Hyundai studio. And then, of course, these podcast episodes coming out, which I'm thinking is going to be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for right now, just to get you guys up to date on everything going on with sports related to us here in Southern Utah. All right, that's everything for me. I've been Caden Formaster. Appreciate you joining me on the Southern Utah Sports Report.